Because the subject of my sermon this morning is, how do we know that we're loved? Or how can I trust in God's love when I'm not sure what that feels like? Or when I'm not sure about God? Or how do I know that God loves me, little old me? I'm happy to report, though, that somehow I do know God loves me. I know what that feels like. And I return to that feeling over and over again. It grounds me, and it lets me do things that I might not otherwise do. The best way that I can describe how this works for me is to lead you in a short meditation. So if you'll sit comfortably in your chair, palms up in your lap, close your eyes, and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And once more, take a deep breath in and a breath out. Bring your focus to the top of your head. Relax your scalp. Let that relaxation flow over you and through you. Relax your forehead, your eyelids, your face, your jaw. Continue down your body by relaxing your neck, your upper arms, your elbows, your lower arms, and finally, the palms of your upturned hands. Put all of your attention in the palms of your hands. Let a sense of energy build there. As you breathe in, energy comes in, and as you breathe out, energy goes out. Energy in, energy out. And now as I count down to 1, you'll come back to this place and time. 5, 4, 3, coming up slowly now. 2, 1. Open your eyes, feeling refreshed. I don't know what that was like for you, but I can tell you what it's like for me. When I become quiet and still, and that energy goes in and out of the palms of my hands, I feel that as love. And I feel this energy comes from God, or the universe, or a higher power, or from something that's just way bigger than I am. Giving and receiving this love allows me to navigate through this time and space with confidence, surety, comfort, and good posture. I know I can go back to it again and again and get as much as I need. And believe me, some days I really need an excessive amount. But it allows me to live. One of the stories I've learned since becoming a UU is the one about the Good Samaritan, which we heard earlier. In just my general knowledge of that story, I thought that it was about doing good by helping your neighbor. But then I found that there were some deeper meanings to that story. So a man lies beaten, robbed, and half dead on the side of a road. A rabbi, a holy man, passes by and ignores him. Then a lawyer passes by, a man of the law, a man who upholds the law, passes by and also ignores him. Finally, the Samaritan happens by, who takes the guy in and cares for him and treats him as we'd all want to be treated. What wasn't known to me before becoming a UU is that Samaritans are the sworn enemies, or were the sworn enemies of the Jews, and this is a story about a Jewish man. So this Samaritan goes out of his way to help this Jew. I've often thought about how difficult that would be. I know that today, living here in Swampscott, Massachusetts, we don't have a lot of sworn enemies. But I guess I put this in the context of How would I feel if I needed help and the person who was there to help me was someone I found mildly annoying, or someone I knew didn't like me very much, or someone who had betrayed me or said something mean to me in the past? Would I be able to accept help from that person? Would I be able to give help to a person like that? But I have to think about it for a really long time. From the perspective of the man in the ditch, the story of the Good Samaritan asks something even more profound than whether we're willing to help, but are we willing to be rescued? I know it's much harder for me to identify with the person who's vulnerable and in need of help. Would I ask for help from one of my enemies? I don't know. I really don't. I like to think so. I like to think that I've become that much more awakened. But this whole idea of asking for help and asking for help from strangers, it's really hard for me. Let me put this in another context for you. I first went to a UU church at the suggestion of a friend. I was going through a really difficult time. I sat through the service and stayed in my seat with tears slowly streaming down my face, very silently, in what I hoped was a very discreet manner. And a very kind man came over to me asking me if everything was okay. I said yes and thanked him and said I didn't want to talk about it, and I don't think I could have at that moment. But I kept going back. But it took a long time before I felt comfortable in that church. A long time until I spoke to anyone. A really long time to feel at home. And it took a longer time to feel welcome there. It wasn't the fault of the people who were there. I kept myself apart because that was more comfortable, and it didn't seem like I was asking for help. The first few times anyone goes to a church, it's really hard for them. They don't know anyone there, or they know very few people. And they don't usually understand our culture, our point of view, or our spirits. So what do we do when we see someone we don't know? Even if we can't see their pain or distress, do we look past them? Do we cross to the other side of the street? I had that reaction for a really long time. I couldn't figure out what to say. I remember asking some of my very gregarious friends many times, but what do I say? Well, now here I am. I'm a membership professional in this church, and my reaction to seeing someone I don't recognize in this building is to extend my hand, or more importantly, to smile, and say, "Hi, I don't think we've met before. My name is Linda. Is this your first time here?" Well, there are two possible responses to this inquiry. One is that they say yes, to which I can respond, "It's great to see you here today. Can I tell you where the important things are? Coffee, restrooms, the sanctuary." But if they say, "No, I'm a member here," then my answer is also pretty simple. And I say, "Oh, please forgive me. My memory is not what it used to be. I'm a member here too." And then ask another question like, "So, where are you from?" Some people can do this kind of thing really naturally, and I can think of many members of our congregation who fall into that category. And some of us have to learn this skill. Some people feel the fear of approaching someone they don't know, and they do it anyway. This skill can be learned and practiced by memorizing the opening remark. I'll repeat it, just in case your memory isn't as good as it once had been. Smile. "Hi, my name is Linda. I don't think I've talked to you before. Are you new here?" And again, the two possible responses. And believe me, it does become easier with practice. The idea here is the same one as the one that's highlighted in the Good Samaritan. Offer a smile, a hand, a how can I help? My sense of being loved helps me to do this. It gives me assurance, confidence, and even the permission to screw up sometimes. And I always know I can go back and get more love. I have also come to feel love when I extend myself to strangers this way. It comes back to me somehow. Some of the other ways I know that I'm loved are when I get an email, or better still, a handwritten letter signed with a big X and a big O. And I know that's really silly, but it somehow touches me. And I especially know I'm loved when I get a text that starts, "To my darling daughter." So I'm thinking of expanding that to saying things like, "To my darling friend," or "to my darling neighbor," or "to my darling stranger." I know I'm loved when my heart is open and I extend that expansiveness to someone else by smiling, listening, being compassionate, and empathetic.